It's time to high five and fist bump. A jiu-jitsu podcast for the everyday grappler. Let's talk subs. Let's talk positions. Let's talk dominating the mat. Welcome to the Let's Talk Jiu-Jitsu podcast with Raymond Terrence.
Yeah, I had to drive out somewhere quiet.
Oh, sounds good.
It sounds okay?
Yeah, sounds perfect. I think someone's flying a drone near you, but apart from that, sounds good.
It's an airplane.
Okay.
You might be able to see it in the back.
Oh, maybe.
Can you see it take off?
No.
There it is. There it is.
I think it's too bright. It's too nice where you are. We have we're getting 30 centimeters of snow in the next 2 days. So.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that. I had to wear sunglasses for the interview.
Hey, no problem. Thanks for being on. I really appreciate it. Thanks for reaching out. Like I said, I didn't want to bombard you with messages because I knew you were probably getting destroyed on Facebook or whatever by people just wanting answers and stuff like that. So
yeah, no worries.
Yeah.
It was a few hectic days, but
everything's kind of starting to normalize a little bit.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, good, awesome. So I have with me Brian Vieira, who's my co-host.
What's up,
Hey,
Chris?
What's up?
So I just want to start off by saying, so I've been to one of your camps, by the way. I'm a brown belt now. I was a blue belt at the time, and I went to one of your main camps
Nice.
with my fellow Montrealers who came down here and some of your regulars. And I had an amazing time. I thought it was a great experience, and I kept boasting about the camp since then.
What year was that?
Oh, I think it was the first year you were at that new camp, like the new place.
Right. Yeah, okay. So it's like 3 years ago.
Yeah, 3 years
2 years ago, something like that.
Something like that. Makes sense. Yeah, it was really good. Fun week. Brian has never been to a camp, but I was kind of telling him a little bit about it, and a lot of information. All the instructors were super open to filming, their classes, and came back with a lot of useful information. And I had to revisit my 18 hours or 20 hours of footage, but no, it was pretty good. So maybe Christian, just tell us a little bit, just because Brian doesn't know much about your background, maybe a little bit about how you started jiu-jitsu and how you started this whole Globetrotter thing.
Yeah, I did taekwondo as a kid.
Okay.
And then I hit the teens, and then you would discover girls and alcohol or boys and alcohol, whatever you're into. No judgment zone. So I had a few years off, and I started to kind of miss doing something. So I found a flyer in a supermarket for Jeet Kune Do, Bruce Lee's pretend MMA,
Okay.
and I tried that out. And I remember the very first class, someone just grabbed me in a headlock, and I was just dumbfounded. It's what? You can grab people? It's I've been kicking holes in the air for 10 years. And I was just so it was just mind blowing for me that you would hold on to someone. It never even crossed my mind, that was just the reality I was brought up in. Not that was necessarily good or bad, but it was just so mind blowing for me that someone could grab me and hold me. And since that very moment, it just never got boring ever since. So so that's it. And back then there was no jiu-jitsu in Denmark, or really not much in Scandinavia. I was in Copenhagen, Denmark. And
doing taekwondo by then.
What's that?
How long had you been doing taekwondo at that point?
10 years or something like that.
Oh, wow.
Since I was a kid. And then and there was no jiu-jitsu, but we thought holding on to each other and squeezing each other's faces were really fun. So I did find some VHS tapes on the internet. This was 7 years. This was 99 or 2000 something. A good handful of years before YouTube was even invented. So I found a pile of VHS tapes that was shipped from the US. I think it was Chris Hauter's something like street fighting for jiu-jitsu or something. So we just started from one end with the tapes, and I was the guy who had the tapes at home. So I ended up teaching because I was watching them, and then I went to class. That was pretty much it. And there's just been trial and error ever since. So that's jiu-jitsu in Denmark is different now. It's huge, but back then in any country or area where there's no jiu-jitsu, it usually just takes like very few or even just one like person to kind of push it and make it happen. So it's been a lot of, for us, it was a lot of like traveling and hosting competitions, and we had to take a lot of initiatives for anything to happen. Otherwise, we wouldn't learn anything. So we traveled for competitions. We organized a lot of competitions ourselves. I did probably like 50 competitions or so, just to kind of trial and error things. And that's how we learned. And I haven't had an instructor ever. So, and here we are, 20 years later.
Wow, that's a really big journey. That's really crazy. So in Denmark, so you said now everything's kind of a little bit more modernized when it comes to jiu-jitsu, and there's a lot more things happening.
Yeah, there's a bunch of gyms, like really high level. We're at the point where I stopped counting black belts a long time ago. You know, when we had like I built this martial arts like forum, kind of like social media thing for the Danish martial arts community, and we had a forum which was like burning hot every day with posts. We had like 1,000 posts a day, and this is a country of 5 million people. You know, it was all like me discussing pressure points versus MMA and stuff, and what was where did I come from? Oh, what was the question? Sorry, I missed it.
Yeah, just that Denmark was getting a little bit more modernized.
That's it. And back then people would post if someone had a blue belt, that was like someone got a blue belt in jiu-jitsu, they would make a post about that. And and it's like, 100 people congratulating you. Oh shit, things are happening in Denmark, you know, and that's it. So
okay, and how did you get your black belt in jiu-jitsu?
Yeah, so I started traveling just to kind of learn jiu-jitsu. So I went to Straight Blast Gym had some camps in Portland, Oregon, which was my first like long trip on my own when I was like 20 years old outside of Denmark. I was young and very not very confident in English and like very shy. And I went there to because there was like a camp, and I was like, I think I can learn something there. And Chris Howder was there and Matt Thornton, and we did. I kind of got my belts from SBG for the next like 5 years or something.
Okay.
And that kind of didn't work out in the long run. And there were some later on, like more people, jiu-jitsu started to involve in Scandinavia, and I met some Brazilian guys in Sweden, and they helped us out a lot. So that's eventually where I got my black belt from.
Okay, great, awesome. And how did the Globetrotters come about?
So in 2011, I did this round the world trip because every year I trained jiu-jitsu, I had to travel somewhere to kind of learn it because I couldn't really learn much at home. So every year I had like a trip of a few weeks, 3-4 weeks to train somewhere. And I've been a lot in the US and a lot in Asia. And I was kind of figuring out where I was going to go next. And at that point I had more and more like freedom and bigger network and stuff. So I made like a list of places I wanted to go. It was like 5 places that I said, maybe I'll go here and train, maybe like Japan, somewhere in the US I've never been, or, you know, somewhere around Europe. There's a bunch of places I wanted to go. And I looked at the list and I was like, I should maybe just go around the world, you know, do them all at once. And so that was the plan, just do like 5 places for 6 months or something and train a month every place. But then I thought, well, if I'm going around the world, I might as well see if someone else wants to host me somewhere. I was like a brown belt at the time. So I thought maybe I can trade, you know, teaching for a place to sleep or something. So I made some public posts on the forums, like MMA TV, and the virus is coming.
Oh yeah, the corona. We were at a jiu-jitsu tournament yesterday with like 3.
Don't sneeze in your hands, man.
So,
Don't
no.
sneeze. I saw that. Don't sneeze in your hands. I saw that. Anyway, so I was like, I made some posts on like jiu-jitsu forums, like Sherdog and MMA TV, and I was like, if anybody wants to host me anywhere, I'll see if I can come by on the way, and I can teach for for a place to sleep or something. And I got like 200-300 emails in a few days, and I was like, God damn it! And I plotted them all in on my Google Earth back then, when Google Earth was a thing. And I was like, okay, I guess I can just kind of do this and just do as many places as possible. And that became kind of the trip. So I ended up going to 56 academies in 5 months. So in a strange way, it turned into kind of sort of a race for me, like to see how many places can I end up visiting. Sorry, there's a plane taking off.
No problem.
So it became kind of a race, like, or a challenge, like how many places can I visit and how intense can I make this trip? And let me just close my window. That's it. I don't have a studio like you guys. Look at me. So I ended up doing all these places and only going like 2 or 3 days every place, and that was really interesting. Super intense, like very intense.
Yeah.
I got to meet a lot of people there. So.
Okay. And then after that, is that when you decided that you wanted to start an organization and start like a traveling organization? And
Well, it was sorry, I'll just wait for that plane to take off. So when I came back home, I kind of kept traveling, and I had a lot of visitors because everywhere I went to all these academies, and I invited everyone to come visit me in Copenhagen, and it kind of backfired because everybody came every single week, and I was like nonstop tour guiding, and it's a little bit much. And that's how the camp started, because I just ended up inviting everyone for the same week and kept doing that. But yeah, when I came back home, we were signing up for the Europeans like 6 months later or something, and we needed to register with the IBJJF, all that jazz. And I was going to register my academy, and we couldn't use the name because there's another academy in the US or something with the same name. It was just CSA, like Combat Sports Academy, something silly.
okay.
And they say you can't use that name, so you got to come up with another name. And I had written the blog, the BJJ Globetrotter, that was kind of the title of the trip of the blog, and eventually also became the title of the book. And I thought, okay, let's just call the team BJJ Globetrotters, because it's like kind of, I don't know, I couldn't come up with anything better. and people were super excited about it. We were like 12 people going, and I was like, that's a pretty cool name. Let's make a patch or something, because every year we went to the Europeans, and it was always like a big team thing. We went like 10, 15 people every single year. Like we trained together for 6 months, and it was a big thing, a big kind of holiday together, you could say. And we were, let's make a patch, and kind of like let's make a T-shirt for a trip kind of thing. So I drew up that patch with the bus and the sunset. Just I thought let's do something. What's the opposite of like a pit bull patch I can come up with?
Right.
And I just posted a picture of that online. People were like, I love it. Can I have a patch? It's like, oh, sure, I'll make a few extras. And then someone asked me like, hey, I really want to go to the Europeans, but I can't register because I need someone blah blah to sign, all that. Oh, this it's kind of complicated paperwork. And I figured it out through like old friends and Chris how to help me out. And I was like, yeah, sure. Why don't you join the newly founded team, BJJ Globetrotters? We even have patches and everything. I was like, sweet. And there was like 10 people or something, like old friends, people I have competed against, or like people I met on my trip were all like, they all needed to compete at this Europeans, and they couldn't do it. So it's like, sure, let's make a team together, and just kind of for the fun of it. And that's how the ball started rolling. Then we had some patches, and I was like, I had like the smallest profit ever on patches, like $100 or something. And I was like, I was going to try to reinvest this $100 in something. We made some T-shirts or like shorts, and I think we made a rash guard. And then I sold a few rash guards, and people kept coming to the gym, and we just said, everybody come in the same week, please, because I don't want to do the same tour of Copenhagen every single week.
Right.
And then that kind of got things rolling, and eventually more people came, and more people bought the rash guards and patches, and I had to figure out a way to reinvest the money, and that was it. That's how it kind of started. And I guess in a strange way, it became kind of an affiliation, but I definitely did not want it to be an affiliation, because I don't know. Well, I know, but bring your next question. We'll talk about it.
So now you have quite a bit of schools all over the world, including the
Yeah.
US. And so maybe tell us a little bit about, so I guess you must get messages from academies that are looking to affiliate with you. And so do you have any prerequisites for people that want to become a Globetrotter affiliate? What's that process like?
Well, now you heard the backstory of how it kind of started, and it was just like us going to the Europeans. Some friends wanted to join in. That's
Right.
it. And then it kind of grew, and more people wanted to get on board. It's like let me put it on my website. Like, let's call this an affiliation and make a list of who's in on the team, you know, and I guess that was kind of the birth of the affiliation, whatever that is. But I think definitely like something shaped me a lot especially on my trip, and also just I guess in kind of growing up in jiu-jitsu, which is highly based on like it's very hierarchical, and it's I think I definitely did not grow up in a traditional like Brazilian business style environment of jiu-jitsu. We figured everything out ourselves. Scandinavians are also kind of non-authoritarian. You know, we refuse to use titles for anyone. Maybe someone will call the queen, but that's kind of the limit for most people. You know, we never use like sir or anything. Or if someone calls me professor, it's like super cringe. But that's a cultural thing. I get that. But so I definitely grew up in a different kind of environment and culture, and also I was heavily influenced by Chris Hauter early on, which he's pretty much like a old school jiu-jitsu kind of anarchist, hate the system, kind of big critic of all these things, and definitely influenced me a lot, and kind of like not taking that role as being I am now your sensei for the rest of your life, and you owe me you owe me your firstborn and all that stuff.
Right.
So that really kind of shaped my thoughts and things. And also I think one thing that I really kind of have experienced myself and experienced a lot is that especially jiu-jitsu is pretty much just one big machine for social recognition. I mean, let's be honest, the most thing we do in jiu-jitsu is kind of we try to climb this hierarchy of the belt hierarchy, which is we're just grown-ups who made this up, right? Some cousins in Brazil made this up. If you try to explain the belt stuff to your grandmothers, you'll be like, oh, that's cute. What are you guys doing? Like putting tapes on each other's belts again? It's super awkward. And like jiu-jitsu is all about like posting pictures of your promotions and podiums and like all this stuff. And I think this kind of can in some cases, not all, but it can definitely create situations where you build relationships with people that's based on you wanting something from someone else. And I think I've seen really unhealthy relationships built like that, like in my career and for myself as well. And I don't think it's healthy. And I think for me, I've been really trying now that I'm in a position where I could like set up a full scale, like the cult of Christian, and I will promote everyone and I will give you certificates and blah, blah, blah. And I think there was a very early point where I thought, I don't want to do this. I don't want to be like, I don't want to be that. I don't want to build that kind of thing where I put myself on a pedestal and where people want stuff from me, because I think definitely traveling the world and meeting so many people, one thing I concluded was that was really kind of strongly enforced in me was that no matter where I went in the world, I could go a completely random place, buy a plane ticket for anywhere, a place I'd never been before. I never even knew the name of the place. I would walk into a jiu-jitsu club and I would meet people who were potentially my new best friend, like someone I would, and even now 10 years later, I still kind of see a lot of these people. And it did not matter what kind of belt level they were. Often you walk into a gym as a black belt or a brown belt, like all the fucking high level belts come like, what's up, bro? Like fucking double high five. Like, what's up? Let's be best buddies. And all the white belts and blue belts in the corner, like a little bit like, I should not talk to this guy because I'm not worthy, you know? It's kind of weird, you know? It's kind of weird. We're all kind of grown-ups. You don't know if that white belt who just started is maybe the most inspirational person you'll meet in your entire life. You don't know. And that's what I really tried to push on my own trip is like, I'm gonna have to try and keep an open mind towards everyone I meet. And you know, you never know. Every single person you meet could change your life. Why does he have to be a black belt or a brown belt or whatever? But you see that a lot, that this hierarchy kind of enforces a culture where people hang out with those who are like in the same kind of position as you, which is normal. I guess it's human. But I think this definitely made me think that I don't want this. You know, this is not what I want for myself. I don't want to build a role for myself where people are sucking up to me, or where I can't have a normal friendship with someone I meet because they think, oh, maybe he's going to give me a blue belt one day. You know, like, yeah. And I think it comes down to fundamentally, I don't want to build relationships with people based on them wanting something from me. I don't think that's healthy in the long run. I mean, we see that all the time in jiu-jitsu. People break up once they get their black belt because then they're kind of free, right? Oh, well, now they need the degrees, 2 degrees. Oh, wait, now it's 3. So you better stay friends with me. friends,
Right.
business. So I really try like purposely to stay out of that as much as possible. I could definitely push that more if I wanted to and turn that into a business or whatever. But I think from the beginning, that's what I try to avoid. And that's kind of the philosophy that I built Globetrotters on, and also built, like, I would say, my own black belt career. Because I definitely see that derail now and then, and people stay in really unhealthy relationships because they want something from the other person, which is usually a build, which is just a symbol of social recognition in like a little closed hierarchy that we all agree exists, which does not exist outside of jiu-jitsu. So that's kind of the foundation of what it's built on, yeah, so I just try to not put myself on a pedestal in terms of affiliation. Also, the camps, I like to invite as many people as possible, and I purposely invite instructors who, as many as I can, that are much better than me, so I don't look like some god on the mats and, and beat up everyone. I also like that that there are many instructors, so I can kind of not be that one guy that everybody's. The nightmare scenario for me would be if every time I went to the camp, there was like 25 guys trying to buy me lunch all the time. That would be horrible. I could never relax. That's why I don't promote anyone. I hate belt promotions. I stay out of it as much as I can. I'll do it in my own academy because that's kind of inevitable. But at the camps, I don't promote anyone in my name or like personally. I don't touch it.
Yeah.
Because
I was gonna say you actually have one of my buddies who I had on the podcast, Kyle Sleeman. He's he's gonna be one of your instructors, I think, at one of your next camps too. So that's cool. Yeah. So when it comes to promotions, I wanted to ask you about that at the camp. So how exactly does that work? Because I mean, when I read through almost, I think, every single comment on Facebook and everything people were posting, because I wanted to educate myself a little bit better, and I have to say 3/4 of them I kind of brushed off, I just kept the ones that seemed of value to me personally, the things that made me ponder things or question myself a little bit.
Right.
And a lot of them were about promotions at these camps. So how do you go about that if you're not super involved? Obviously, you have a lot of black belts that are teaching at these camps and high level black belts. How do you guys go about promoting these people? And my question is, the people that are asking to be promoted at these camps, do they not have academies where they can be promoted by their own instructor?
No, they don't. So first, a little bit of statistics. Last year we had 12 camps, more than 1,800 participants. And at the camps, I tried to do a count the other day. I think we did 5 belt promotions total in the whole year, the entire year. Okay. One of them was, as far as I remember, one of them was a blue belt promotion, a guy I had not met before. And the rest were people who've been going to the camps for years, like old friends, kind of. And the way we just go about it is, first, I try to do it as little as possible because I don't want anyone to show up at the camp and try to buy me lunch. As I said, that would be horrible. I would not be able to relax about that relationship. But really, if someone out there does not have an instructor, if they're not in between gyms, if they have no one to promote them, and they're not like on their way to start in another academy or something, which is very common. Like that is very, very common.
Yeah,
so
Brian,
a lot of people
about that, because Brian had questioned that, and I gave him the scenario was I'm in X academy and we break ties and something happens, and then pretty much that's the only place that I can go where I live, and then I'm kind of stuck in limbo because I don't have any other options. What do I do if I need to get promoted or I want to be promoted? Yeah.
And you have to consider, I mean, in North America, there's a lot of jiu-jitsu, but it's not like that everywhere in the world. It's not very accessible. In many places, it's very, very inaccessible. And some people can't even afford to travel or something to do it. I mean, so if some people do not have an instructor themselves, and they don't have, and they're not like about to sign up with someone or something, and they would like a brutally honest evaluation, they can send me a message. And then at the camps, I stay completely out of it because I don't want that relationship. But it's fairly simple. Usually at the camps, there's like 20 or 25 black belts. And in the camp group, I just tell them, hey, do you want to take a roll with this guy and see what you think? And give him some feedback. And you have like usually 20 black belts voting what they think. And if 20 black belts say yes, then it usually means that this person is okay for that belt. I mean, that should be the only requirement, really, right? Usually it's one black belt who you must have a business relationship with, right? I mean, they're not. If you stop paying them, they're usually not going to promote you, right? So I mean, there's something there. So here you have like an objective opinion from 15, 20 black belts, what they think about your skill level. And if it's a lower belt, like a blue belt, it's pretty easy, you know. I mean, if it's a higher belt, like a brown or black belts, which happens almost never at the camps, despite popular belief that we probably just throw like black belts and brown belts left and right all the time, and I walk around from the open mat and like, you get a black belt, you get a. I'm like the white Oprah Winfrey of jiu-jitsu. You get a belt, you get a belt, you get a belt. Right? It's not like that, you know. But if it's like a higher belt, I mean, usually we don't do it unless we get to know people over a period of time. And also we ask them to kind of come up with some background on their training career, like competition records, contact with whoever they've been training with. We do a little bit of research, which is much easier now with BeltChecker, of course. We do some research, and I present that information to all the instructors at the camp, and I say, what do you think? And they all get to vote, and it's by popular vote. And if there's one person saying no, it's a no. That's it. And as I said, it's 5 promotions in a year. It's not even anything that anyone should be talking about. It's like fucking nothing. It's not like we throw around hundreds of belts every camp, you know?
Yes, I'm glad you pointed it out, because I think that's a big misconception.
Oh, yeah. 100%.
Yeah, based on all the comments and everything I was reading, and the people that I was talking to.
It honestly just shows. It honestly just shows how important this is to people, to humans. You know, like, hey, this is supposed to be sacred. This kind of belt hierarchy that we all agree is real. It's supposed to be sacred. You can't just do this, right? So they all like. Is someone not taking this serious? You know, it's like if someone promotes themselves online, promote themselves or buy a belt online, that's like everybody is supposed to have outrage. They're supposed to do that. Right. It's like if someone starts burning money, it's like you can't do that because it's money, but really it's just paper. You know, it's the exact same thing. So we all have to. The belt system only works if we agree that it's real. You know, it's like countries or corporations or money or religion. If we agree it's real, it's real. So if someone suddenly says, "Oh, this is not real," you know, what is this guy doing? He's not treating it like it's real. They're promoting people left and right. Then they have to be outraged to kind of defend what we all believe in. Otherwise, we would all look really silly tomorrow if we show up in the gym. It's like, why are you wearing a belt? That's not real. You know, that's just a piece of cloth. It's like, what's that money in your pocket? It's like, we just agreed money doesn't exist. You know, so that's the outrage. That's why people are going nuts on the internet, because we promote someone we don't know, which is exactly what happens if you have an academy. Or I mean, if the other way people can go about this, there's only one other way, and I'll tell you the exact same. You don't have anyone to promote you, so what do? You have to find an affiliation, right? Like you sign up with someone. Usually there's a contract or some kind of deal. You have to bring this guy in for a seminar once or twice a year. You have to like take him out for dinner, try to buy him lunch, you know, introduce him to your sister, you know, all these things. And then hopefully at some point, he's probably going to give you that belt. That's exactly how it works. That is how it works in jiu-jitsu if you want to be promoted. It's not like you are like, if you wear a white belt, but you beat up all the black belts. It's not like anyone is going to promote you. Like if you don't have an instructor, you don't go to a competition as a white belt or sign up as a black belt. You cannot do that maybe, but you don't go and beat all the black belts in competition. And then someone on the sideline, Andre Galvao, is like, hey, you're a black belt right now. It doesn't work like that. You need to build a business relationship with people before they will even consider that. And we know that's true, because if you have that business relationship, they will sign off on your IBJJF papers. But the moment you break up or whatever, you're not friends anymore, they're not going to sign shit, no matter what level you're at, right? So it's all based on business. So we're just doing the exact same thing without any kind of requirement for the person to hang around. Or it's not like if they come to a camp and we give them a blue belt because 20 black belts think they're a blue belt, which is exactly how it should be. It's not like they owe us anything. Like, it's not like, oh, now you better come for camps 10 times a year, you know, or you better buy the geese or wear the patches or something, right? It's not about that. So I think that's probably my coming from my kind of, as we talked about, like trying to build relationships with people, not based on them wanting something from you.
Right. So if we talk about a little bit about what recently happened with the IBJJF, so and again, correct me if I'm wrong. So if I understand it correctly, currently the Globetrotter students have until the expiration of their IBJJF passport. They can continue to compete, and at the end of their the duration of their passport, they will have to submit a new application to have the IBJJF passport, which will allow them to compete in IBJJF tournaments under a new professor, who will basically declare that they are who they are and their rank.
A registered professor.
Yeah, so it has to be a registered professor, correct?
By registered, you mean paying?
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So if you're registered black belt with the IBJJF, you have to pay $400 to be a registered black belt.
No,
correct?
no, 35.
Sorry,
It's $35 to be a registered black.
it's $35. Sorry.
Yeah, because the 400 is just if you want a certificate.
Right, exactly.
The certificate is useless. It's just a piece of paper on your wall. Social recognition worth $400. There you go.
Right. So why do you think maybe there are a lot of affiliations out there, again, not necessarily Globetrotters, but other affiliations around the world, that their black belts are not willing to pay that $35 to be a registered black belt to sign off for their students?
Sorry, there's a big plane just taking off right now.
No problem.
It's okay. We can barely hear it anyways.
Yeah.
Okay, good. All right, so I just couldn't hear you.
Yeah.
What was the question? Sorry.
Yeah. So I'm curious why there are affiliations around the world, not just Globetrotters, but other affiliations also, where they're black belts, if they have students who want to compete with the IBJJF, why wouldn't they pay the $35 to be a registered black belt to allow their students to compete in the IBJJF tournaments?
Because in order to do that, you need a second or third degree black belt, paying black belt to sign for you. And sometimes you don't have that relationship with someone, or your instructor doesn't care about signing up for the IBJJF. So then you can't do it. You can't just come by yourself, you have to understand, this is a hierarchy, right? You can't just come into the business. You need someone to vouch for you all the way to the top. Right?
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty much like multi-level marketing. It's clever and it's a really good business model. Obviously, they make a lot of money off it. So,
and do you think there's a lot of your are most of your academies affected by this? I mean, do you know that if there's a lot of registered black belts that are Globetrotter affiliations?
Actually, I don't keep count.
No.
I think the whole IBJJF registration thing is, again, I say this is something that by human nature you must be outraged by it. But in reality, I think we signed. I got one list from the IBJJF. 1 year ago, it was 100 people signed with the IBJJF. That's in 6 years. That's not a lot, right? I mean, it's really not a lot. The last year is probably like triple because of things were growing. But still, it's not really like a big thing. It's not that I sit all day in my office and just fucking sign forms left and right, and scraping money. We do it for free. It's just I have someone help me out with it, and like my assistant, and it's not really that much of time we put into it. But I understand humans have to be outraged because it's kind of messing with the system a little bit. But I'll tell you how we have been doing it, just for a little bit of backstory. It started like that with just me going to the Europeans and like a few friends, and then more people say, hey, I can't compete either, and my professor is not registered. I don't talk to him anymore, and I really don't want to sign up with any big affiliation just literally to go to one competition, because that's what they had to do. You have to get in line with the system to kind of be allowed in to play, pay to play. And so we just signed up a lot of people there, and then it started growing. I was like, okay, maybe I should check a little bit more just in case. I don't really give a shit, to be honest. It's just a competition. If people sign up in the wrong belt division, then what happens? They're just gonna lose. I mean, it's just because they compete in the wrong belt division doesn't mean anyone promoted them to that belt. It's like, anyway, I didn't really care about it. So, but at some point, it's like Globetrotters keep growing, and I'm thinking, okay, we'll do some background checks. So we started to very early on to have a requirement that if we're going to sign for someone, at least, we just need to talk to your instructor on Facebook so we can see their profile, because everyone in jiu-jitsu has a jiu-jitsu pictures on their profile, that's how it works, right? That's how it works. So that's very easy. So we just check with their instructor. on Facebook, we kind of looked them out, Googled their name. We messaged them and say, okay, is it true that you promoted this and this person to purple belt? And it's like, yeah, that's true. And maybe this person could, for whatever reason, not enter the pyramid of getting forms signed in IBJJF. So we just help out his student, and we just do like a background check. And then we started doing for black belts, because more black belts were I guess, broke up with their business relationships. And we thought, okay, at least for black belts, we just need 5 black belts to vouch for you. So 5 black belts on Facebook with like a public profile where you can see that, okay, they look very legitimate, have to message us and say, okay, this person is actually a black belt. So that's kind of already kind of a high threshold, like a verification threshold, right? That's what we did. And then recently I started this little programming project, as we can talk about later, beltchecker, where it's even where you need like 10 black belts minimum to vouch for you before you're verified. So that's been how we've been doing it, really. And we've been doing that for 7 years with IBJJF, and everybody needs to register as a member of BJJ Globetrotters. So in that sense, it's no different than any other affiliation. You know, someone wants to sign up as a member of the affiliation with their academy or their members, or even individuals, because we also have a lot of people just traveling and not training anywhere. And I don't think there's no reason for them not to, should be able to compete or be a member of the affiliation. So everybody needs to sign up with the affiliation. Their name is on our website. So and then once they're confirmed members and we do the background check, then we say, sure, you can compete for Globetrotters. And I never sit and look at the results, and I never kind of see the results as my own. It's not like I feel like, yeah, Globetrotters won the team trophy again. I think we're like the number 5 or something at the Europeans. It's kind of wild to think about it, right? But it's not like I feel like, yeah, I made it to 5th place in the biggest tournament in the world. Who cares? I have no. They do the work. I just kind of help them out, because I think people who don't have a place to train, they should also be able to compete, which is kind of weird that I even have to say that,
Right. So do you find with all these people going through the different affiliations and having a hard time signing do you think the fact that they won't be able, or is this kind of putting a stick in certain competitors' spokes right now? People that are affiliated with Globetrotters, maybe some their passport is coming to expiration. What's going to happen with these students who want to compete but who are stuck, in limbo because maybe they're between professors, or they don't have one, or their professor can't get that recognition and get that that done with the IBJJF? What's going to happen now?
Well, they're going to if they really want to compete there, they're going to have to get in line and sign up with and start a business relationship with a large organization who will sign up for them.
Okay.
That's it. They're going to have to pay someone.
Someone's going to have to pay.
That's pretty much it. But, also there's a lot of people the Globetrotters is in fact the largest affiliation in the world, depending on how some people will say that's not a real affiliation, but in reality, that depends on how you look at it. It's like saying, so it's a lot of people, and there's a lot of people there who also registered, and many people say, okay, just sign up under me, and like, why do you care? Why do you care what the name is on it? So that's pretty much it, but most people are gonna have to sign up with Crazy Baja or something. I don't know. There's a lot of affiliations out there, and usually with an affiliation, you need to have a business relationship before they will even consider putting your name on their list of competitors. So that's what they're going to have to do, I guess. And I mean, and I would love to hear more from the IBJJF about this thing, because everybody saw the email, I guess, I assume. I don't know. Yeah. I've been sending them like a handful of mails. I write very nicely. I'm not sending them like GIFs or memes or something. But they don't reply to anything. So I was hoping I could have a conversation with them, like, and we could kind of see because if you look at their website, there are no requirements for affiliations. They don't have any rules about this, or there's nothing, like there's no definition of what is an affiliation or who can sign for who. It's just that you have to be a black belt to sign for this and this. That's it. There's nothing on their website. There's no requirements. There's like one link, but it's like a 404 error. There's nothing on the page. So I would love to hear more about it. But on the other hand, they're a private company. They can do whatever the fuck they want. Who are we to say that? I mean, they're not a federation. They're not a governing body. They're just, again, they're like money. If you believe money is real, then you can pay with it. If nobody believes in your money, then you can't use it. And the same with IBJJF. If you believe it's a governing body that has anything to say about the sport, then it is. And people keep voting with their money, so it is the governing body right now. But in reality, it's a for-profit company, and they can do whatever rules they want. So if they want to say, okay, Christian is an idiot, look at this stupid little Scandinavian boy sitting on an island trying to mess with things, we're just going to ban him. That's it. We're not going to reply to anything, and that's it. They're just going to write a storm, and that's it. Who cares? And they're still going to make money. So, and that's in a sense totally fine, and I respect that. But
I find that really surprising on the IBJJF side. I don't know what you think, Brian, about this. That they haven't reached out. So if you guys are at 750 plus academies, IBJJF is a private company. They're there to make money too. They're saying to themselves, man, like thousands of students, let's say a small percentage decide to compete, that's still X amount of dollars. Like, let's pick up the phone and call Christian and be like, hey, like maybe we could talk about this, right? And try to figure something out so that way we're both happy.
Yeah. No? I have a question. I don't know that much about Globetrotter. Sorry, Christian, for my ignorance.
Yeah, no worries.
I'm just kind of inquiring at the same time.
It's awkward. I thought it was kind of a big deal here, but
it's becoming a big deal, right? But I guess I'm just not as immersed as Ray is in the community, right? So, but we read that there's like 750 affiliations with the Globetrotters.
Sorry, there's a plane right now. I can't hear anything for a second.
Christian decided to park next to an airport.
Yeah.
Can you see anything or no?
No, we can't. It's just too nice. It's too bright.
But that's it.
There is a plane right there. Okay.
Give me a shot.
Anyway, let's try. What's your question?
There's around 750 affiliation schools.
Mm-hmm. I mean, depending on
Globetrotters, right?
And one little side note is that what is an affiliation? When are you affiliated?
Yeah.
I mean,
well, this is what
some people will say like, that's not a real affiliation. Even some of them who are on the website, they'll say, "Oh, we're just on the website because we welcome travelers," and that's totally fine. And I always say, like, it depends on your definition of an affiliation. It's like, because I know IBJ has one definition, but I don't think they necessarily should have a monopoly on saying what an affiliation is. So I say to be the biggest affiliation in the world is like, that's up to you to say if you.
Well, I think terminology was the biggest academy. The biggest. Group of academies was Globetrotters at 750. I think Gracie Barra was second at around 700 schools, whatever, right? Mm-hmm. But Gracie Barra has a storefront sign that says Gracie Barra with their logo, right? Mm-hmm. Are we talking about 750 Globetrotter schools? Are we talking about 750
we have
schools that are affiliated with Globetrotters?
Yeah. It's just people who signed up as affiliates on a website, whatever that means. An affiliation is really just that your name is on the website.
Okay.
What else is to it? The rest is up to you to decide.
They might be like called whatever.
Storm.
Yeah,
Jiu-Jitsu.
Storm BJJ or.
That's cool. I like that.
Right. Okay. So they could just. So basically, it could be an independent.
Of course.
That's an affiliation with Globetrotters, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. So, but we were talking before, and we were saying, you asked him, what are we going to do about? What is he going to do about? The students that are not going to be able to compete anymore if they're not going to recognize Globetrotters.
Yeah.
And then Christian, you said, well, they're going to have to sign up, and create and start a business relationship with somebody, meaning they're going to have to pay or whatever. So does that mean they're not paying at their current academies that are affiliated with you?
I have no idea. I don't keep track of it.
Well, no, I know. It's obviously they're paying. Well, that's what I mean. So what does he mean by that? What do you mean by they're going to have to create a business relationship with somebody and start paying?
Because if I'm at my current academy,
yes,
right? So I'm at BTT and I'm currently paying a membership to be able to do jiu-jitsu. It's fine, but I can't get a professor to sign off for me for X amount of reasons. Yeah. For me to be allowed to go compete in IBJJF, I might need to go find a school, and sign up there because they have a black belt who is registered with the IBJJF, who is an official certified black belt through them because they paid their $35, right?
Yeah.
To be able to get him to sign off for me.
Okay,
Right.
but that being said, I'm kind of like on both sides with this because I agree that this might be kind of a cash grab. What we were saying with the IBJJF forcing all the independent academies that maybe their black belts are not registered. It's going to force them to get registered so that they can support their students to compete in these tournaments. But at the same time, they already have a business relationship. The students, they're already paying.
No,
right?
you're mixing up a little bit.
Okay.
I'm not talking about the students of the academies. I'm talking about, let's say you run an academy. You're
Right.
like, I don't know, whatever belt. I can't see your rank right now, which is kind of weird because where do I put you? Okay. So I'm better than you. Okay.
Yes,
So
exactly. And your hair looks much better.
you start an academy. Well, there's no one around. You buy some mats, and some people will come and roll with you, like train with you, right?
Sure.
Some people want to compete, and you can't sign it off, or maybe you're even a black belt, you can't do it because whatever, you maybe don't have the relationship with a third-degree black belt or something to sign off. So, okay, here comes Globetrotters. This is an easy one. We just say, can we compete for you? Sure, Christian doesn't care. And then now your students can compete, right? Now IBJJF kicks out Globetrotters, which is what it is. So how do you now help your students to compete? That's what I mean. You need to go and find another affiliation who can help you sign the forms for your students. And usually, in most cases, this affiliation comes with some kind of expectations, either in terms of money or seminars or whatever. So you have to build a business relationship with someone else.
Okay. So it's not at the student level, it's at the instructor level, at the
academy level. You can say.
Academy level, yeah. Okay.
And it's not like all 750 academies maybe even identify themselves as being Globetrotters affiliates, or it's not necessarily all of them who uses Globetrotters to compete. Not at all. I mean, there's just 750 on a website. It's like a number, but it's some of them,
Yeah, but wouldn't that be kind of like, I'm in the in my professional life, I'm in the restaurant business, okay, and I worked with franchises, independents. I worked with all different kinds. So wouldn't that be kind of like saying, if a person wants to invest in a franchise, they need to pay the franchise dues, and there's benefits that come with that, right?
Yeah,
or
sometimes
there's a benefit.
I'm sorry.
You could just be an independent. No, there's definite benefits, but I think there's also there's some drawbacks, I guess, depending on the reputation of the restaurant or whatever. But there's definite benefits with being part of a franchise group. But there's also some benefits that might be being an independent restaurant, right? Mm-hmm. But you're not paying the dues that you're paying. You're not paying royalties to the franchise group, the company, right?
Right.
Except if there are competitions for restaurants, you cannot join them to get if you're an independent restaurant. Impossible. Right. So if you want to win the world's best chef, which is very like a big thing to win, and you're going to be on TV and get all that stuff and pictures of you on the podium, you cannot do that unless you franchise with Subway sandwiches or something.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So maybe the jiu-jitsu world needs a master chef kind of organization and give one of them.
We need more reality TV about this.
Maybe. It's a funny thing.
Yeah, it's really interesting, eh? Yeah. Because we were having this conversation before we started off with you and going back and forth in questions. And usually when Brian goes a little silent during podcasts is because he's reflecting on everything.
I am reflecting. I'm trying to learn. It's the first time I speak to Christian, and today was the first day that I started researching this morning about the Globetrotters and how it works and everything. So that's why I have a lot of questions more than I do opinions. I don't want to form opinions without knowing some of the facts, right? So,
and you would be open, obviously, Christian. You're definitely open to IBJJF reaching out to you and trying to, have a conversation about it.
Of course, I have nothing to hide. I'll debate anyone, and I always keep it nice, I mean, I was hoping to hear more from them because I only got that one email, and that was like the only thing I ever heard from them in 7 years. And they're not getting back to me. I mean, it's been like a little over a week or something. Maybe they're busy. I don't know. But of course, I would hope they would have an open discussion about this. Because again, and even on Facebook or whatever, anyone who like says anything or disagree, I'll always have a nice conversation with them. I mean, I have nothing to hide here. It's not like. Mm-hmm. Some people will come up with all kinds of weird things like, oh, Globetrotters are signing off on everyone left and right, or they just promote everyone else's students. Or one of the things that has come up is that some people say because Globetrotters have been signing fake belts, right? That's kind of been the
Right.
thing.
Yeah.
But and there was one case on which was on called out. There was the best on the underground forum. Instead of messaging me, people made like a thread on the underground forum. Attention, Christian Graugart about fake belts in Globetrotters. Something like that. I never go to that forum. It was like just randomly someone sent me the link. But it's very important, obviously, that this was like out in the open. So the BJJ police caught this guy. Anyway, so there was actually one guy in 2013 who managed to have a form signed as a purple belt, and apparently he was not a purple belt or whatever. This was like just when we started out, like maybe in the first year or something, where I just like, okay, sign everyone. And then later on, I was like, okay, maybe I should just do like a basic check on everyone. But anyway, this guy apparently managed to have an IBJJF form signed for Globetrotters. I don't think he even competed. I think he just did it to like, I don't know, whatever. So he kind of sneaked in, and obviously at the moment I finally found out, then I just contacted the IBJJF and said, okay, please cancel his membership, and that was it pretty much. And apart from that, nobody has told me about any fake belts or anyone. Some people will say it like, oh, Globetrotters, they signed fake belts, that's why they're getting kicked out. But to this date, I have not heard about anything, not from anyone who spreads these rumors, not from the IBJJF. And nobody has actually come forward with any information I can use, because obviously if someone managed to kind of cheat the system, which they can do with any affiliation, by the way, it's not like every affiliation has any sort of mechanism to verify belts, like to actually like thoroughly do that. If people want to really fake it, then they can do it, but who the fuck fakes jiu-jitsu belts anyway? So if I knew about it, if I know and have any information, of course I'll just contact the person, check it out. If they were competing, I don't know, in our name, I'll probably contact the competition and say, by the way, please don't let this person sign up anymore. But so far, I've only heard rumors, and I'm very curious to see if someone actually has like some substantial information. But I hear nothing, not from the IBJJF, not from anyone who spreads the rumors. There's a guy, Howell Teague of late fame with the Red Belt documentary. He's actually kind of a friend of mine, but he posted. He works with the IBJJF. Obviously, he's also very. He works for the flow grappling as well. So he posted on Twitter that you got kicked out because of irregularities with the belt signings, and there's always like more sides to the story. But then I'm not gonna say anything else, and like I'm not here for the drama. I was like, if you know anything, you should tell me. Otherwise, I think you're just enabling it. If you knew that there was someone with a fake black belt competing for Globetrotters, and you did not tell me right now, you would be as bad, right? I mean, that would be the exact same thing. You would enable it. So if people hold back information, it will only be because they want to hurt like me for some whatever reason, and otherwise I assume it's just a rumor.
Yeah. If you have something to say, I mean, if you're going to post something but you have information, I mean, why not come forward and say what's on your mind or what information you have? If not, like you said, you're just looking to hurt somebody, and I don't know why someone would do that. But again, who knows?
But and again, it's like this whole like promotions and IBJJF forms and everything. It's such a small corner of what we do in a day-to-day basis on Globetrotters. It's like a tiny little corner. If Globetrotters is my office room, which is just my hallway, by the way, it's not like that's the HQ. It would be the
or your car by the airport.
Yeah, exactly. This is the parking lot, by the way, the supermarket parking lot. It's very exciting because on this island the supermarket. There's only pretty much one proper supermarket, and they just opened a new one, and it's like being in civilization. Everybody's so excited because there is an escalator, and that's like, oh my god, this is the first escalator on the island. And
they must be a big affiliation.
We're all super excited for the supermarket, and now I'm going to use their Sunday parking because of course it's closed on Sunday.
Nice.
Anyway, where did I come from? What was I saying? Something interesting.
That IBJJF, I think, is just a small part of what you guys do, and
exactly. Yeah. It's literally like the smallest corner of Globetrotters, and but it's what everybody's eyes are on because it might mess a little bit with belts and hierarchy, which is pretty much what we all need to constantly confirm to each other is true. Otherwise, it would be super awkward to have pictures of you with your belt promotions on Facebook, because if it's not true, then that'll be weird.
Yeah.
Well, I
mean,
think belt affiliation, the belt promotional thing is not even really an issue right here. I think the issue is what's going to happen to the instructors that are not, that are with your, let's say, affiliation, that are not with another affiliation. I think what's just going to happen is he's not going to actually, if they really can't, because they don't have a relationship with their, black belt that they got their black belt from, then his students are just going to have to not compete in the IBJJF.
Yeah,
I think that's what's going to happen more than anything else.
Or if he has students that are very passionate about competing in the IBJJF, that instructor will put the efforts in to do exactly what Christian said and do what he has to do and go see another school and have a business relationship with them and do what he needs to do to get his.
I think there's going to be a lot less of that.
I agree.
Than there is students just not competing in IBJJF.
I agree.
And I think that, even though, Christian, you talk about people being, you kind of like poke fun at the whole being loyal to one, instructor affiliation, whatever. I think even in the Globetrotter affiliations, regardless of who they are, they're going to be loyal to their instructor. Yeah. And they're going to stay with their instructor. They're not going to compete in the IBJJF. If they can't, they're going to say, okay, well, my instructor can't get it for X reason, for whatever, because they cut ties with his instructor from the past or whatever the case may be.
I'll just
do it. Be really special situation for him not to be able to get his registration, done. I think
and if you think about it, there are so many other tournaments and things happening that people, if they want to compete and they're really passionate about competing,
they'll compete in other ones.
They'll just find ways to do it.
Yeah. And of course, plot twist, they don't have to compete at the IBJJF.
Exactly.
Yeah, they don't have to compete. They just be like me, just be an old man,
doing jiu-jitsu.
I competed once. That's it.
Yeah, it's true.
I mean, they can always find a way, and then someone else will offer them to sign under them, and then maybe 7 years from now, they will get an email from the IBJJF. Who knows? I mean,
yeah.
It is what it is. Yeah.
Or like you said, maybe it'll be like a Disney Marvel kind of thing, right? Some little affiliation will get bought up by a big player, and they'll keep their own name and whatnot, but they'll be an affiliate of that group, and the guy will have to pay his dues, like you said, to the big company.
That's usually how it works.
Yeah,
that's how it always works, except for apparently what we did. So, which is, I mean. I think it's healthy sometimes to kind of step back and look at things and like some things are just okay, this is done like this, and nobody questions it. But I think sometimes it's healthy to take a step back and kind of say, is there maybe another way of thinking about this? Maybe like affiliations or belt verifications or whatever the fuck that is. Or I mean, sometimes it's I think it's healthy to just see, could we do this in another way? Is there any way of doing that like that? And making an affiliation that's not based on business is kind of an interesting twist on things. And I think personally that training relationships should be based on friendship and not on business. Because that's how I see they hold on for the longest. That's my personal experience.
Yeah.
Well, you're right. And if that's the case, then for the people that follow your model, it doesn't matter what's happening with the IBJJF.
No, it doesn't really matter.
No,
I mean,
they should just keep what they're doing and don't compete with the IBJJF, and that's it.
Tell us about belt checker, Christian.
So that was just something that's been on my mind for a long time. I think also because we did all this like background checks for Globetrotters on the belts, which is really not a lot, but I always try to when I run my business or whatever you want to call it, I have someone working for me and they kind of do a lot of this stuff, and I say, is there any way we can build a system to make it easier? Because every day, when we need to sign for some black belts, which is not every day, but we get so many messages on Facebook. It's like, yeah, this guy is this and this, he's under me and it's okay and blah blah blah. And maybe like one day it's like 30 messages like that. It's like, oh my god, there's so much work for her to do. Is there any way I can make this kind of in a different way? And that combined with a bunch of other ideas and also just in general kind of thinking about, again, is there any way we can do things a little bit different in jiu-jitsu? And also I used to work as a software developer like 20 years ago until I quit for jiu-jitsu, and I kind of missed it, like software development. I think it's super interesting, except when someone tells me to do it, So I thought I'm going to try to start a few little projects to see if I can kind of bring that skill back up in my life. And I started doing just a really small one, just like a opening hours website thing for this island I live on. And then eventually, I don't remember what triggered it, but I've had long conversations with people about this, and also like conversations about what is a belt promotion. Like that's actually an interesting thing. Like, because sometimes it's just having a business relationship with someone and for long enough, and that's usually it. That's what it takes. But what if you don't have a relationship with anyone, which is kind of usually the camp thing? Let's say you have no instructor. There's no one there who you're directly or indirectly paying. But 20 black belts say that you're a black belt. Are you a black belt or not? Right. That's an interesting thought.
Mhm.
Are you? Because what is it based on? You know? No. You need a professor, and he needs to be verified, and he needs to have X number of stripes on his belt before he can say, yes, this person is good enough to compete in the black belt division. And I think that's an interesting question to ask. Like, what is a belt promotion? What is saying someone is a purple belt? What is that? Is it saying, yes, you have now paid your dues, like as a martial artist to your sensei, blah blah blah, which is totally legitimate. It could be that, or is it this person has the skill level to compete in the purple belt division and do well? Is that it? And what if enough people say this is true? This person is actually good enough to be a purple belt. Is that a belt promotion or not? Like, that's pretty interesting because it's very different from like what we all been spoon fed with. Yeah. I'm not saying that community promotions should exist. I don't think they should exist. But I'm just saying this is interesting because this is kind of what we've been seeing at the camp. Someone shows up, they beat up all the black belts. Like, literally someone shows up brown belt and like they just like wipe the floor. Are they black belts or not? In a traditional sense, no, because they don't have a relationship with someone up in the hierarchy who can say, here you go, here's your belt. Now you're good enough to compete in black belt division. Not before I say it, but no. Right?
But you do have the technical skill set.
Exactly. So that's an interesting thing, and this is something like that I've kind of been puzzling with for in my mind. I just try to look at things like common conceptions and also like think, could it be different? So anyway, many things coming together. I'm like, at some point I started to make some notes about this, and it probably thought about it for like a year or something like that, and then more and more concrete, and thinking it could be some kind of system also to make things easier for us in terms of people verifying belt ranks. If let's say we sign 100 forms in a year, what if we sign 500 the next year? We're not charging any money for this, but I'm paying someone, like, it's going to be a full-time job. I'm paying someone a full-time job to do that. Something we will offer for free. I will never charge money for it. Never. So I'm thinking, can we make a more efficient way of doing this, and then combine with all the other thoughts? And I'm like, because I also, when we have been promoting some people at the camps, we just have a Facebook group, like a messenger group called the Council of Traveling Black Belts, and we post all the information about this person, and everybody has like a conversation about it. I roll with him today. I think he needs work here and here. What do you think about his guard or whatever? And I found this online, and it's all like everybody's opinion, like in a big mess. So I have like raging OCD. I like things to look really nice and neat. So like I need this to look better, you know. So that kind of gave birth to this programming project, which took off way more crazy than I had imagined. I'd hoped to have at least like 2 or 3 more months to work on it before it would kind of have more than a few hundred members. But people love social recognition. That's what humans want. So, and this is like just like jiu-jitsu, this is a social recognition machine in a sense. So I started building this, and it's really simple. You can make a profile, and it needs to be like a proper profile. 1, because we need to trust the data on it on the site, and 2, because I like things to look nice. I hate half empty profiles, and like so everything needs to be correct, right? And the way to test that is all on community verification. So if you have a profile it'll be like your jiu-jitsu resume, pretty much. Like, here is all my promotions, here's who promoted me, here's all my pictures, my competition record, links to people who promote me. Here are my students. Here are my coaches. You can look them up. You can see if they verified my belt or not. Like pretty much everything of your entire jiu-jitsu career is in one place. But if there's no kind of mechanism to make sure that you put in correct information and all the information, it will go to shit immediately. That's at least what I would predict. So of course I cannot sit and verify everyone. That would be too much work. So it's all based on community verification. So the community needs to vote on the profiles to verify if they're correct or not, right? And you can say it's a belt verification, but that's really up to you, because what is a belt verification? And in reality, it's maybe just more of a data verification, like verify your profile. But in all, it's like only verified profiles can vote. So you need to be fully verified before you can vote. So we need to make sure you are who you are, your name is correct, your picture is correct, and we need to make sure that you're actually the belt you are before you can vote on anyone, right? So verified profiles can vote on someone else. Depending on your verified rank, you have a certain number of points. So if you're a white belt, your vote is worth 0 points. If you're black belts, it's because white belts are not real people, as we all know.
Right.
Black belts are 100 points, and so on and so on. Like brown belts is like 50, blue belts are 5. You know, and also the rank you need verified, you need a certain number of points. Like for a white belt, you need 0 points to verify a white belt because you achieved nothing in life. Sarcasm, by the way. For those who don't get sarcasm, this is sarcasm. Blue belts, you need like 200 points and so on. For a black belt, you need 1,000 points to have a verified profile, right? So everyone can kind of vote like left and right, and the criteria for voting is up to the community. It's the average of what the community decides. So it's kind of open, because it could be, let's say you have to know this person, or you must have trained with him, or you must have promoted him to vote on him. But we can't control it. People will vote however they want to vote. So instead of having guidelines for that, for how you vote, everyone can kind of make up their own guidelines. So some people will say, I will only vote for people I know. Some people will spend all day at work looking through the profiles, checking all the pictures, double checking Instagram, like checking with their instructor before they vote on someone. Some people will look through and say, this looks very legitimate, I'm going to give my vote, right? But so in reality, the requirement for verification is the average of the entire community's criteria for what is a trustworthy belt rank. Right? So this is actually kind of a mechanism that gives the community the power to decide what is a belt verification. Because some people might vote with one thing, and then some people might downvote. You can also like remove points from someone. Like I give 125 points or something. So if I downvote you, you're gonna have a minus 125. Right? So you might be in red, right? So you can be disputed. So some people, there's a group of people on the site who will downvote people who did not completely fill out all details on their belt promotion history. So if you put only like your white belt and your brown belt, but you didn't put anything for blue or purple, they will downvote you. And immediately your profile is never going to get verified, right? But if enough people on the other hand say, this is okay, I don't care about seeing your blue or purple information. If enough people will upvote that, then you can still be verified.
Okay.
So it's the average of what the entire community agrees are the criteria for a belt verification. And that's really interesting to follow, because it's kind of, it takes a life of its own, right? Now there's close to 10,000 people, and it really starts to take a life, because I cannot control it. It's not like I can say, oh, you can only vote if this and this, if you know the person, right? But how can I check that? I can't, right? Yeah. So the entire community it's kind of like blockchain, kind of a war, you know, like imagine something in Matrix, like crazy, you know? So it's based, it's 100% community-based verification, whatever verification means. That's up to you, really. So it's an interesting social experiment. And also, byproduct of that is that we're building a social media platform for jiu-jitsu where you can actually trust the data. You know, everyone's face there on name is actually who they say they are. We have more than 15,000 posts in the forum. We did not delete a single one. Take that, Reddit.
Have you been on this? Did you see it? No, you haven't been on it.
This whole thing, okay. Let me be a little bit of a devil's advocate here.
Oh, come on, bring it.
So
I debate anyone.
No, it's not even a debate. It's just an observation. So you keep repeating about belt verification, whatever that means. This is not belt verification. It's a data verification. To me, that sounds like potato. It's just it is absolutely 100% a belt verification, and it's giving value to people to let them determine what belt they are. And there's a lot of effort being put into this. So if you don't care about belt verification, what's the whole point of this social experiment?
There's no point. So just don't use the site.
No point.
I mean, you don't have to use the site. Right?
Well, I know that. I'm just saying, for a person emphasizing on belt verification doesn't matter, why bother doing it?
No, then you should not bother, because then it's just not for you.
Don't bother me. Why did you bother creating this app to begin with?
I think it's an interesting social experiment.
Okay, even though you don't, verification is a thing.
Sorry.
Even though you don't think belt verification is a thing, you still think it's an interesting social experiment.
Oh, definitely, yeah. But I mean, the experiment is, what is belt verification? That's kind of part of the experiment, right? Because here's something interesting. What are the worst things that someone can do to mess up with the illusion of the belt hierarchy? The worst things. Promote yourself or buy a promotion online.
Right.
Do we agree?
Yeah.
Reddit will burn if this Facebook is gonna go nuts.
Yeah.
Everybody's like, what the fuck? Did you hear this guy bought he promoted himself, this brown belt? What the fuck? Okay, he beat every black belt in the whole country, but he cannot promote himself, right? That's the worst thing that can happen. If that happens, that's like fake money. That's like people printing fake money and buying all the things that you want, right? That's literally the exact same thing.
Sure.
So here's the thing. This is exactly what IBJJF is doing. You can buy a rank by IBJJF purely based on paying the money and not having an instructor. So they will promote you online just for money. Black belt degrees.
The IBJJF will promote you online for money?
Yep. Yeah. If I'm a black belt, which I am, up until maybe a week ago.
So you say.
You have to go check. You have to go check me on belt. I'm actually the second most verified person on belt.
Oh.
Look at me, kind of a big deal. Anyway, no. So, if you are a black belt and you have a membership with IBJJF, which is the $35 a year thing, you have a black belt card, right? Mm-hmm. To get that, you need a second or third degree black belt to sign off. Let's say that was your instructor. He signed off. You're in IBJJF. You're in. You break the relationship with this person, right? What is the big problem now? Oh my God, I cannot get more social recognition because I cannot get black belt degrees. You know, black belt degrees are invented because in the beginning, the pyramid looks like this, black belts on top. Suddenly, there are too many people at the top of the pyramid. It gets too wide. So we have to build another top, which are the black belt degrees. Like, oh shit, too many people get black belt degrees. Now we need to make coral belts and belts with gold and silver on. They have this in jiu-jitsu, gold and silver, and red belts. So we keep ourselves on top all the time, right? So here's the issue. You cannot get that social recognition unless you go find another professor in another affiliation who can promote you, right? Mm-hmm. That's an issue. Except if you're a member of the IBJJF, all you have to do is get black belt certification with IBJJF. And they will send you a certificate that you are X number of black belt degrees based on how long you've been registered a black belt with the IBJJF. It costs $400 plus the yearly membership, plus you have to do like a first aid thing and a referee course. And then no matter if you have an instructor or not, purely based on time, which is what black belt degrees are anyway, which is totally fair, they will send you a certificate, IBJJF certificate, costing $400 the first time and $150 per certificate from there on that says you are this new black belt degree without having an instructor. So they promote you online for money. So where's the outrage on that? Yeah.
So a new black belt he pays for all that. He gets a certificate. And then 3 years later, he's due for his first degree. He will write again to the IBJJF, pay again the $150, and they'll send him without any more further checking. They'll send him another certificate that says he's a third degree black belt.
Correct.
Okay.
And it's optional to have your instructor sign off on it.
Right. After the first
people want that because they're like, oh, look at because of lineage, because illusion of lineage. Yeah. But you don't have to. It's optional. So
IBJJF basically take a look at when you got signed off for your black belt.
Yeah.
And then after that, because it's just a matter of time, no one else has to sign off on you again, right?
So after 3 years, they know, okay, well, he's been a black belt for 3 years, so
Yeah.
he's due for his first degree.
Yeah.
Even,
That's it.
yeah. I'm surprised they wouldn't ask for the same signature, let's say.
No, but it doesn't matter because it's just a matter of time.
Yeah, but if they're not training.
Yeah.
It's still just a matter of time.
Fucking breaks his hip.
No. What if you're training? It doesn't matter. You still get worse because you get older. What if you break your leg? You can't be promoted. Right? Because
I think
black belt degrees are based purely on time. They have one purpose, is to keep the hierarchy going, to keep the people on top. Because as you get older, the younger people start to beat you in jiu-jitsu.
Sure.
This is true.
Mhm.
In some weird way in jiu-jitsu, we imagine that a coral belt will just wipe the floor as an open mat. Like, that is not happening like that.
But I think only new people think that. New people that are starting, they don't know about it.
Yeah, exactly. Because we have an illusion of belt rank equivalent to skill. But the problem is that if you're a black belt already, you get older. How are you going to stay on top? How are you going to keep running your business? If there are no black belt degrees, I'm a black belt. I have students. They become black belts. They start to beat me, and they win all the competition. I'm too old to compete. How am I going to keep my affiliation business? How am I going to keep my how are people going to keep inviting me for seminars? I cannot promote them because I cannot give them any kind of social recognition. I cannot beat them. I cannot teach them anymore. They're younger, smarter, stronger, better than me. How do I do that? There is no way for me to keep my business as I'm getting older, unless we invent another hierarchy on top of the first hierarchy, where I can stay on top. So, here's a 6-degree black belt coming in to teach a seminar. We better pay some respect, because he's going to give tape on belt to our instructor, and we think we are better because our instructor just gets promoted, right? But it's only based on time. So actually what they're doing is, I think it's totally fine. They promote people by time.
Mm-hmm.
No, and it's like jiu-jitsu has two very distinct belt systems. One is the colored belt system, which is very valid because it's based on performance and very often competition results, or at least performance relative to someone who's competing. Right? That kind of keeps it real. But the moment you hit black belt, we switch to a different system, which is based purely on time, nothing else but time. And there's a problem with that, is that it's absolute fucking bullshit. It has one purpose: to keep the hierarchy going, to keep the people on top. Because one day I could be a red belt, and then everybody's going to love me on Facebook, except there's going to be 1,000 red belts at that time, right? So what's a black belt today when there's a 4th degree black belt, right? And we always bash traditional martial arts for having, look at this guy, it's like a 7-degree, like fucking ninjutsu thing. But you know what? In ninjutsu, for the 5th dan, you have to dodge a sword with your closed eye. In Brazilian jiu-jitsu, you just have to stay alive. Right? No swords involved. You don't even need to do a fucking kata or anything. Nothing. You just have to stay alive. Don't get the coronavirus, and you're gonna get promoted. You don't even need to keep a relationship with your instructor, right? That's it. It's absolute fucking bullshit. I don't believe in black belt degrees. I don't keep any on my.
Become a ninja then instead.
Yeah, that's it.
No.
The best. Hey, the best fucking story about ninjas. Can I throw this in? Do we have to ask?
I was going to ask you anyways, because
There
I
was
saw
once a guy.
one of your things where there was a guy dressed as a ninja from head to toe, and he was rolling with some people on a mat. It was one of your videos. Like, I don't know which site it was. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Globetrotters in action. Yeah. It's from one of the camps. He was teaching in full ninja suit with swords and everything. Anyway,
terrified.
There was one. I think it was on Bullshit or something. It was the best fucking story about someone, like a ninja, calling out MMA guys, and he said, like, ninjas can adapt to any situation, beat anyone, and there's like, we're gonna make a challenge match, like, and he actually showed up for it, and he just fucking wrecked shop with this MMA guy. He was just like brutal Muay Thai and Jiu-Jitsu and wrestling. And after it's like, fuck, you're not a ninja. It's like, I said ninjutsu can adapt to anything. So I just learned Muay Thai and MMA and wrestling. So it's like, that's the best. I respect ninja degrees way more than jiu-jitsu black belt degrees. They're useless. Anyway, so that's an interesting take on belt checker, because belt checker this is a purposely, what do you say? Sorry, English is difficult for me sometimes. This is purposely challenging a little bit of the conception of what are black belt degrees, for instance, right? Because everybody thinks, okay, black belt degrees, this is when your instructor, who is better than you, will tell you now you are getting better. but it's all just based on time. And IBJJF will do this for money online, right? So if IBJJF offers this for money to me, because I emailed them at some point and said, like, if I want to get my degree, which I don't, what do I have to do? Oh, we looked at the records. You've been a black belt for 7-8 years. So we can now send you a certificate for your 2nd degree black belt and your membership card. And all you have to do is like pay this and this and go to our referee course and do the blah, blah, blah. And maybe I'm not in the US, so no background check. That's it. And then you're officially an IBJJF 2nd degree black belt, right? That's all I had to do. I didn't even need a signature from any instructor or anything, right? Which is, I don't know. I could ask some of my friends to do that, but I mean, it's kind of silly even to pay for that. So belt checker will, if you are a verified black belt and the community verify you as a black belt on belt checker, this is controversial, but here it comes. If someone verifies that I was a black belt on this and this date 8 years ago, and the whole community says I need the votes of 10 black belts minimum, or 400 purple belts or something to verify this, right? If 400 purple belts or 10 verified black belts say yes, Christian was promoted to black belt this date 8 years ago, the system will then say, okay, you have served 2 terms of 3 years, so you qualify for 2nd degree. So it will say, do you want that or not? And the system can say, are you promoted by someone, or do you accept the degree based on time? And you can say, I accept the degree based on time. That's it. And then on the side, you're a 2nd degree. That's it. But there's really no arguments against that, because that's exactly what IBJJF is doing. The federation.
Right. But what benefits are they getting from that?
Nothing. It's just,
well, then what's the harm?
Useless.
Exactly. It's just a
So
system.
then what's the harm?
It's just a system.
It's social recognition.
Yeah.
So I know that, but obviously you're saying all this because you're against it. You're saying that the IBJJF is just giving.
No,
it.
no, I'm not against it. No.
Oh, you're not
against it. No.
So
I think it's totally fine.
Then why don't you have yours? Why didn't you say you didn't get yours? You didn't ask for the.
Because I don't want to pay them $550 and travel somewhere to do a referee course for just to have a piece of paper. All I get for that, they send a piece of paper in the mail. I don't need it for anything. It serves no purpose other than put it on the wall so someone can look at it.
Yeah,
that's the only purpose.
Or so that you can compete or train people.
No. I can always compete. Yeah. I can always compete. Well, the only thing is that if I'm a registered 2nd degree with them, then I could sign off on black belts.
Right.
Yeah,
that's what I mean.
That's the reason why you would get it.
I just ask a friend to do it.
Right.
Okay.
And I honestly, why would I fly somewhere to do a referee course?
Oh yeah, locally, that's right.
Huh?
Because they don't offer that locally there. That's not a thing there, I guess.
There's 9,000 people on this island with 10 people training jiu-jitsu. IBJJF is nowhere to be seen here.
It's funny.
Okay, so that's interesting, but this creates quite the controversy. Like people are a little bit there's some really interesting debates on this on the Belt Checker forum. Yeah. But I mean, there's really no argument against it.
Yeah, it's just something. Yeah.
But it's interesting. I think it's just an interesting experiment, right?
Yeah. No, it's really interesting. Well, I really hope the IBJJF reaches out to you. And again, if they don't. I really hope that they reach out to you. I'll definitely tag them in this and spam them as much as possible.
Be nice to them.
No, definitely. And definitely hope to make it out to another camp. I'm a huge proponent of the Globetrotters camp, of what you guys do. I had a blast when I was there. Being a brown belt now, I'd love to make it out because I think my experience will be the same. But I think, I have a lot.
No. When you're a brown belt, everybody's going to double high five you when you arrive.
Yeah. Maybe.
Because you're not one of the cool guys.
Double high five?
Maybe not double high five. Maybe there was one high five and a few fist bumps.
But a jumping high five.
But I think what's different now is like I have a lot more I can give. I feel like I have a lot more that I can kind of share. Whereas before it was just people were giving me all the information and I was just sharing on the social aspect of things. So hopefully on the jiu-jitsu side, maybe I'll have a little bit more to give than I did before. But Christian, I really appreciate your time. Thanks for taking the time to
my
talk.
pleasure.
mats. And again, I do this little podcast out of my house, and the goal of this is just to kind of bring the jiu-jitsu community together and have, open discussions, and just to be as sociable as I can and to get to know as many people as I can. That's why I call it a jiu-jitsu podcast for the everyday grappler. It's just, anybody, and I have white belts on here, blue belts, doesn't matter what you are, what rank or what affiliation.
White belts?
Oh, I know. I do.
Sarcasm alert.
But again, I appreciate your time, and thanks for the discussion. And I hope to I rode with you before. I hope to make it out to another camp and spend some time with you.
Yeah, always welcome.
All right. Thanks, Christian. Have a great day.
Thanks, Christian.
Yeah, you too. It was a pleasure to be on the show, and interesting.
Yeah, thanks.
And now I need to get back in the AC. It's fucking burning here.
Take care, buddy.
Yeah, you too. See you later. Bye, guys. Bye.
Bye.
You've been listening to Let's Talk Jiu-Jitsu with Raymond Terrence. Go follow us on Facebook and Instagram. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube page. Turn on notifications and press that like button. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you on the mats.